Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have an unboxing of the X3S. Gearbest recently started carrying this printer. It's been available on AliExpress for quite some time now, and I really wanted to get my hands on it because it's a much larger version of the X3 with a few improvements as well over the X3. I mentioned to my contact at Gearbest through my Facebook page that I was interested in this printer, and Gearbest was kind enough to send me one over for an unboxing, build, and review. I was really looking forward to it. I am really looking forward to the build, and I'm really excited about this printer because it has a much larger build area than the X3. It comes with a few improvements over the X3. The bed has a dual extrusion, should be much more stable. And the price of this printer right now on Gearbest, even the regular price on Gearbest is cheaper than you can find this on AliExpress. And right now they have a coupon code where you can get this printer for $2.99 US. To me, that would be a really great value if and only if the parts inside the box come without any major issues. It is a kit, so unlike printers like the CR10 or the new E10, you will have to put it together. But for $2.99 US when it's on sale, for 300 by 300 by 400, that's a pretty great deal. So let's come on in closer and we'll take a look. So one thing I would like to mention, it is a fairly big box. It's one of the bigger printer boxes I've gotten. It's quite heavy, and I would like to thank Gearbest for sending me this printer for review. I was really excited when I heard that it was coming. There's not much on YouTube in regards to this version of the X3, and it has been around for a while. Gearbest just recently started carrying it, but it has been around for a while on AliExpress. I know when I got my X3 on Gearbest, this printer was available on AliExpress this time last year, but most sellers on AliExpress are asking $400 plus for this printer. On Gearbest regular price, I believe it is $379 US, and to anybody that's in the US, I believe it might be free shipping. Anywhere else in the world, I know here in Canada it's not free shipping, but with the coupon code that I have available in my description, you will be able to pick this printer up for $2.99 US. So let's get this massive box open. So massive, I think I'm going to cut these sides away. I'll follow up this video with a build video, and I probably will end up printing some of my upgrades that I have for the X3, because most of the upgrades for the X3 should fit this printer. Not all, but most. So first layer, we have a power cable, our on-off switch, screwdrivers, pinch clamps. So that's interesting. Perhaps this printer comes with a glass bed. The original X3 doesn't come with a glass bed. So, but we got a bunch of pinch clamps here. It's weird. We got two large ones and two really tiny ones. They're very colorful. Piece of PVC pipe. That'll be for our filament spool holder. Some Allen keys. Power supply. We'll switch that over to 110 right now. It's a 20 amp, so I'm a little concerned about that. The basic X3 is a 20 amp, but that's only powering a 220 by 220 heated bed, whereas this one has a 300 by 300 heated bed. So we got a 20 amp, 12 volt power supply. We got a thumb drive with a micro SD card here. $8 GB. It's always nice to have extras of those. Some sample filament that I will never use. And this massive plate. So look at, so we have, this is pretty neat. This is similar to the material that you find on the Tronxy X1, this plastic material. I'll be curious of how it prints, how you print on it. It's got a little bit of a warp to it. So it's not flat, it's bowed a little bit. But it is plastic. It's fairly thick, it's not glass. It looks like a fiberglass. You can see here it looks like a fiberglass type material. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's not glass, and it is a bed to go over the heated bed. So it's massive, right? This printer is the same build area as the CR10, with a difference being that this is going to have two Z motors and two threaded rods. So here's this massive heated bed. Look at that thing. It's just huge, right? So there's going to be a handful of people out there. I noticed, like in the on the Facebook page for the X3, and a few people on YouTube mention, oh, it's $100 more than the X3, or $150 more than the X3. Why spend your money on that when you can upgrade the X3 and make it 300 by 300 by 400 for $20 or $30? That is false. That is so, I feel like cursing, but I'm not gonna. So false, it's ridiculous. First thing is, if you want to upgrade the X3, you can check out one of my earlier videos where I increased the bed size without really doing anything to the printer, with no real money except buying an aluminum plate to go over the heated bed. The most I could do was 255 by 285, and that's compromising a little bit on the Y-axis because that unstable issue some people are having. I don't really have it, but it's worth mentioning. That's the biggest I could do. If I wanted to make it any bigger, I'm going to have, and especially taller, I'm going to have to replace every piece of extrusion on that printer. So I'm looking at $30 or $40 US there. So that's one thing. The next thing is this massive heated bed. This 300 by 300 heated bed, even on AliExpress, is $40-some US. The cheapest one I could find was $40.99 US on AliExpress. And the ratings weren't that high on it, so I would probably go to the next available one up that had a much higher review rating. But anyways, the cheapest one of these I could find was $40 US. So there's another cost besides all the extrusions, because this thing's massive. The wire's all pre-soldered for this. Anyways, put that there. So you're looking at the extrusion, you're looking at the heated bed. You're also going to need longer threaded rods on your Z-axis if you want that 400mm height. That's 2 threaded rods. You're going to need longer belts. You're going to need longer cables on some of your end stops and motors and whatnot. But that price will add up, and it will add up to a lot more than $20 or $30. And I'm thinking when it's all said and done and you have the X3 to the size of an X3S, you're going to have a lot of leftover parts from the X3 you wish you didn't have, and you're going to end up having the exact same cost that you did as if you would have bought this printer. Not to mention the fact, like, this is the bed bracket that goes under the heated plate. You're not going to be able to just go buy one of these, so you're going to have to come up with something, right? That thing's massive. I can't, like, when I'm done with the build video for this, I plan on lining up all 4 printers, the X3, the X3S, the CR10, and the new E10 that I just got. I'm going to line them all up. I'll go over them a little bit, but I want to just look at them for a size comparison. But when you look at that thing, it's massive. So there's no way that anybody can tell me that they can take the X3, spend $20 or $30 and have it the size of this. When they're done, they're going to have spent just as much money, if not more, than if they would have bought this kit. Especially when you can get it on a flash sale or with a coupon code for like $299. I just don't believe it. Plus, this printer, I believe, comes with the upgraded LCD display with the one-touch adjustable knob instead of those 5 rinky-dink buttons. So we have our plastic here, our acrylic for our spool holder. Set that aside. We have all the acrylic for our electronics box. It looks a little bigger than the one for the X3. I'm not sure. I know it's slightly different. As you can tell, our fan is on this side. When the original X3, it's on this side. But we have all our acrylic here for our electronics housing. Set that aside. Now we're going to our second layer, I think, and our last layer. Okay, so let's go right here in the middle first, because I mentioned this and I want to check it out. So you see here we have the upgraded LCD. So this is, oh, I like that, it's got the click to it. But this is the upgraded LCD, so this is a little pricier than the one that comes on the basic X3. I got screws and everything falling out of it because, as usual, they put them in there very loose. So we'll just leave those in there for now. So this is our LCD. And it's unusual on the back. It's got, I'm looking here. On the back it's got the 2 ports, which is really unusual because one of those would be normally the micro SD, and I don't think this has a micro SD on it, so I don't know what that would be for. Okay, but I could be wrong, but I doubt it. But there are 2 cables for it, so that's that. Oh, so if we take a look here on the X3, on the basic X3, they have a Melzi board, but here we have a what is this guy? CXY version 2 Tronxy. So I'm assuming this board is a little similar to the board that I would find in the, actually, it's very similar to the board in the E10. So, we'll see how this works out. So, we don't have a Melzi board with this printer. I'm not sure what this one is. If it's just a Tronxy, a custom Tronxy board or not. Well, anyways, here's the control board for the printer. We have our end stops here. We have temperature, end stops. I'm still not sure why I need two connectors here for the LCD. I'm typically used to, like on the ramps board, one of these being for SD card. So this is an LCD 12864 panel. So anyways, we got a different board here than we have in the basic X3. That's pretty neat. Okay. So we have some GT2 belt, timing belt, and we have a bunch of cable wrap, zip ties, and cable management clips in this bag right here. Let's see here, we have a bunch of wiring here, and these are really long, and that's, as I said, with the base X3, if you're going to want to increase the size of it, you're going to also need to increase all your wires. And look, check this out. I don't know how I can illustrate this. This is one of the stepper motor wires, but look how long that is. Like that's taller. I know you can't see this, but I'm off camera holding it up. This thing is well over 6 feet. This is at least 2 meters long. That's just one. So if you're going to upgrade the X3 to a printer this size, you're going to have to replace all your wiring because they're not going to be long enough. Or you're going to have to buy new wiring and splice them in. But this thing comes with some really long stepper motor wiring, which is really nice. We have our end stops switches. Let's check these out, see if how long these are. Because it's always the X-axis end stop that ends up being a little short on me, or just barely there, because of how it has to rise up with the gantry. And I've actually had to splice it on a couple of my printers so that I had enough play to the box. Let's see how long this is. So yeah, that is super long too. Like if I fold it over, so that's close to 2 meters as well. So we have lots of length on our cables, which is really nice. We have our acrylic for all the various parts of the printer, from holding the gantry assembly to the towers, to the X-axis mounts, to the Y-axis mounts, to your end stop mounts, all in this bag here. USB cable, I never use them. We have a couple of 3D printed parts. These are going to hold our 2020 gantry to our acrylic that's going to be mounted to our towers. We have our brass fittings there as well, some nuts, screws. We have our V-slot wheels, and this is open build extrusion, V-slot extrusion. So we have our V-slot wheels here. We have our angle brackets for the printer. We have our all metal extruder assembly right here. Okay, we have our hot end assembly already fully assembled. This will be one of the first things I replace, and it's the same hot end that you'd find on the X3 as well as the Tron XY-X1. The biggest flaw, there's two flaws in this hot end. One, it blows hot air right on the heater block, because the heater block's flush with the bottom of this thing. And two, there's no filament cooling. So I replaced this entire shroud altogether with one of my own custom designs, and that'll be one of the first upgrades I print. And I'm going to print that before I put the printer together, because I might as well incorporate that right away. So it's already got our V-slot of wheels installed and everything. So all I'll need to do is print a new shroud, take this fan out, put my new shroud on. So that won't be too difficult. So anyways, here's our hot end assembly here. Now look at the length of this wiring. Like, all the wiring with this printer is super long, and it has to be for the size of this thing. You're going to see that the frame for this thing, it's got the same build area as the CR10, but the frame is going to make it massive. It's going to be way out from the frame, and you could probably, if you wanted to edit the firmware, I believe, you could probably put another bigger piece of glass or mirror on this bed and actually get a bigger print area out of this printer. When it's built, I'm going to actually measure the potential, I guess, of the potential space that I'm going to have between the two towers, and from on the Y-axis, front and back, to get an idea and to give you, the viewers, an idea of maybe just how much bigger we can go with this printer. Because as I said, I managed to make the X3 255 by 285 without really doing anything. I modified the firmware, I lowered the two Z motors down below the bed, and I just put a bigger piece of aluminum on it, and that's it. And I got a print area of 255 by 285. And if you go look through my videos, you'll find that video, and you'll see me doing a test print on that full area. So we'll check that out on this a little later on. We'll see if something like that's possible as well. So we got our 4 angle brackets here. 2 of them are for our Z-stepper motors, and the other 2 are for our extruder motor and our X-axis motor. I've put, to date, I've put 4 X3s together, so all this stuff is pretty familiar to me. This printer should be a walk in the park, and we have a lot of separation here on the Tron XY-X1. Everything was just lumped into one bag together, as well as my X3s, which was really annoying. But here, if we look at this, everything is separated out. So I'm not going to have to, and it's labeled too, what's in the bag. So that's great. So all our little bags of hardware are labeled and separated out into different categories. So that'll save me a little time fishing around. If you look at some of my build videos, you'll see me fishing around in a big mess of screws and washers and nuts, because that's how they came in the bag. Okay, so we have, look at that. We have a couple of, these are guides for your threaded rod, and they usually go at the top. So I'm assuming this printer also has guides at the top for the threaded rods, which the X3 does not. So for anybody out there that owns an X3, you notice your threaded rods stop about an inch below the top piece of 2020 extrusion. I believe for this printer they go right up to the top, and they actually are seated inside of these 2 bearings to keep them straight. So that's a nice little added feature as well, that with the X3, if you wanted to add that, you'd have to buy them. They're not that expensive though. Also, I thought this was a neat feature with this printer. Adjustable feet. Rubber bottom. So that's good for, it's a hard rubber though, so I don't know how good it would be for vibration dampening, but it'll be better than the printer sitting right on the desk itself. And we got quite a bit of adjustment on these feet, so we can make sure we can use these feet to level our printer on whatever surface we're using, whether it be a desk or a table or a cabinet. So there's 4 of these adjustable feet. So these are a nice feature. I probably will not, they will go on the printer during the build, but I probably will replace them, because I like to put my electronics box underneath the printer. So I'm going to want taller legs, and these will not be tall enough to allow me to put the electronics box under the printer. And I find it's handy putting the box under the printer, because then the printer has a smaller footprint. Takes up less space. So we have some, I like to call these hillbilly bearings, where you have a bearing, 2 small washers, 2 large washers, a screw, and a couple of nuts. Now, this assembly to me, it's cheesy and cheap, and it's just as cheap to buy, let me go off camera for a minute and grab something. Okay, I have a handful of these lying around. Not sure how well you can make that out on camera, but this bearing basically has a flange on it, and you take 2 of them, you put them together, and then they make your bearing assembly that you need for your belts. The E10 has these on it for the belts, and I've replaced the ones on my X3 with some of these. You just need 2 of them. Then you don't need all these washers, the small ones or the large ones. You just need 2 of those. Anyways, it's the same on the X3. The X3 has the same setup. So we have 2 of those. And we have our stepper motors with the Tronxy branding on them. We have our extruder with the MK8 gear already set up on it. We have our 2 Get out of there. Z-axis stepper motors. And then we have our Y and X axis stepper motors with the gears loosely placed in place. Okay, now on to these massive threaded rods. I'm not sure if they're bent or straight. I'll take a look at that in the build video, but here are our threaded rods. They're fairly long. And then we have a bundle of extrusion here, which I won't open right now, but this stuff is pretty long. At least 2 feet. And that's it. So that's everything that's in the box. Again, it's a big upgrade from the X3 in more ways than one. We have a different board than the Melzi. That could be a good, that could be bad. I'm not sure. We have the upgraded LCD. We have included legs. We have the included bearings for your upper end of your threaded rods. We have largely increased bed size. You're looking at 2.459 times the build volume as the basic X3. And it has an upgraded bed assembly where you're going to have your two 2020 open build extrusions there, so it should be much more stable than the basic X3. It comes with a bed plate. I'm not sure what the material is. It looks like a fiberglass composite. I'm a little concerned whether or not this power supply will be able to handle that big bed. 20 amp. This large bed is going to require a lot more power than your typical 220 by 220 heated bed. And both the X3 and X3S come with the same power supply. So this is a printer I would definitely add a MOSFET to, especially given the size of this bed. I have a spare MOSFET lying around, so I am probably going to add that to this printer, and I'm considering adding it during the build. That way, for anybody out there that's not sure how to wire up a MOSFET, you'll get to see how that process goes during my build video. So again, here's the unboxing of the X3S. I'm really excited about this printer. I'm really excited to put it together and see how it works and just get to see how enormous looking it is. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And check out the description. There's going to be a coupon code in there for this printer. Right now, I can't not recommend it or recommend it. I can't tell you how it's going to work out, but I can tell you it's a big build area. It's 300 by 300 by 400. You got dual Z motors, dual threaded rods. You got the upgraded LCD, and it's 300 bucks. So if you on a tighter budget, you can't really afford the CR10 at $400 plus US, and you don't mind putting the printer together yourself, you're going to get a printer with the same build area. Pick yourself up a MOSFET for about 8 to 10 bucks, and that's the only thing that this printer's lacking that the CR10 has, as far as I'm concerned, is the MOSFET. Other than that, the board is pretty much identical. The LCD is pretty much identical. I haven't looked at the it's been a while since I looked at the power supply inside my CR10, so I'll have to make a note of that during the build video, the different if it's different than this one or not, if it's a higher amperage. But they're both 12 volt, I do know that. So again, it's $300 right now with the coupon code, and for that build area, I think that's a really good deal. It's a massive build area, equivalent to the CR10. I'm not comparing this printer to the CR10 by any means. To me, this is the X3 on steroids. So, thanks for watching the video. If you like it, please subscribe and stay tuned for the build video. Something else I just thought I'd show everybody. Okay, so here's my CR10. There's my X3. This is the heated bed for the X3S, which is 300 by 300. But I'm going to show everybody something, and again, I'm not trying to compare it to the CR10. I just want to give everybody an idea how like freaking big this bed is. So the CR10 is 300 by 300. Okay? So I'm going to hold this bed up to the CR10, corner to corner here. Let me get it lined up there. Okay? Corner to corner. Look at that. I have 3/4 of an inch there. And same goes, the same can be said on the y-axis. I'm lined up there with the glass, and I'll step back, and it's 3/4 of an inch longer than the heated bed on the CR10. This heated bed is massive. It's with like printers like the X3 where it says the print area is 220 by 220. That's the outer edge of everything, right? Which is typically not ideal to print on. Same with the A8, it's 220 by 220, which is the outer edge of everything. But this heated bed here is 300, so it's an inch. I'm sorry, it's not 3/4 of an inch. It's 330 millimeter by 300. Let me get it hooked there. And 30 millimeter. So this heated bed that comes with the X3S is 330 by 330. So I just thought I'd throw this in the unboxing video just to give everybody an idea how freaking huge this heated bed is. Like when I opened up the box, this thing looked massive. And it just struck me that this thing looks bigger than my X3. It looks huge. So I just thought I'd throw it down there just to give everybody an idea of size comparison of this heated bed. And that just tells me right away that in the software, the firmware for the printer, you could probably modify it and get your full 330 by 330 out of this printer. Like this printed bed is just, this heated bed is just massive, and like it's the whole size of the entire base practically of the X3. Like I've got that touching extrusion to extrusion. So, and if I just want to show everybody too the threaded rods for this thing, and I set them on the X3 where, if I just hold them up to the X3 where the other threaded rods go. Trying to get them there, but keep that in mind. So I cannot wait to put this printer together just to see how huge it is. That bed is just massive. Just massive. That heated build plate. So I thought I'd do a size comparison for everybody, just to get an idea how big this thing is.